Imagine this. A single bullet changes the course of history in an instant. The President of the United States lies dead on the ground. Within minutes, the world holds its breath as global leaders, military commanders, and intelligence agencies scramble to understand what happened and what comes next. Does America unleash its nuclear arsenal in retaliation? Do nuclear missiles fly across the planet? Sensational headlines have been screaming across the internet and YouTube channels for days. America's deadly nuclear warning: nuclear launch if Trump is assassinated. These dramatic titles raise serious questions. Is this an actual automatic policy embedded in U.S. doctrine? Is it a calculated and deliberate deterrence strategy designed to protect the president? Or is it dangerous hype that could escalate tensions in an already volatile world filled with multiple global conflicts? In this detailed, in-depth breakdown, we will cut through the noise, examine verified facts, historical context, official policies, and expert perspectives to understand the full reality behind these alarming claims. This is far more than politics or one individual. It touches the very heart of nuclear deterrence, presidential security, and the survival of nations in the nuclear age. Stay with me as we explore every layer of this critical issue. The claims spread like wildfire across social media platforms, YouTube live streams, and news channels. Multiple reports suggested that the White House and the Pentagon had issued a direct and severe nuclear warning. Any successful assassination attempt on President Donald Trump would automatically trigger immediate nuclear retaliation. Some versions even claimed that the entire U.S. nuclear triad, land-based missiles, nuclear submarines, and strategic bombers had been placed on heightened alert specifically to safeguard him. These stories created massive panic and curiosity among viewers worldwide. However, when we examine the situation carefully and factually, the reality is more nuanced. While there is no publicly confirmed official policy stating an automatic nuclear launch triggered solely by the death of the president, strong strategic signaling and deterrence messages have indeed been delivered by the Trump administration following multiple credible intelligence reports about Iranian assassination plots. President Trump publicly stated that he had left firm instructions for overwhelming and devastating retaliation, potentially including the obliteration of key military and nuclear targets if Iran or its proxies managed to assassinate him. This position builds directly on the deep tensions that began after the 2020 Soleimani strike and have continued to intensify through 2025 and 2026. In international relations, powerful nations have historically used the full weight of their military capabilities to deter personal attacks on their leaders. Such warnings serve a clear purpose. They raise the potential cost of any assassination attempt so high that no rational state or group would dare attempt it. Yet turning this concept into a literal automatic nuclear dead man's switch would be highly unusual, strategically risky, and potentially destabilizing. U.S. nuclear doctrine has always emphasized controlled, deliberate, and carefully reviewed decision-making processes precisely to avoid accidental launches or unwanted escalation that could lead to global catastrophe. Presidential assassinations and serious attempts form one of the darkest and most recurring threads in American history, for sitting U.S. presidents have been successfully assassinated while in office. Abraham Lincoln was shot in 1865 at Ford's Theater just days after the Civil War ended. James Garfield was killed in 1881 by a disgruntled office seeker. William McKinley was shot in 1901 by an anarchist at the Pan American Exposition. And John F. Kennedy was tragically assassinated in Dallas in 1963. Beyond these completed assassinations, there have been numerous serious attempts on other presidents, including Andrew Jackson, Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry Truman, Gerald Ford, who faced 2 attempts in just 17 days, Ronald Reagan, and even Bill Clinton. Each incident led to major improvements in Secret Service protocols, intelligence sharing, and presidential protection procedures. In 2024, Donald Trump himself survived 2 well-documented and highly publicized assassination attempts that shook the nation. The first occurred at a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where a 20-year-old gunman opened fire from a rooftop, grazing Trump's ear with a bullet before being neutralized by Secret Service snipers. The second attempt took place at a golf course in Florida, where another suspect was arrested with a rifle near the course. Both events exposed temporary gaps in security arrangements and resulted in immediate leadership changes within the Secret Service, along with a complete overhaul of protection strategies for high-profile political figures. These incidents were not only domestic threats. U.S. intelligence agencies, including the FBI and CIA, have issued repeated warnings about state-sponsored assassination plots. particularly originating from Iran. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (ZERG) and affiliated proxy networks have allegedly been actively planning attacks on Trump and other senior American officials as revenge for the killing of General Qasem Soleimani and for America's maximum pressure campaign against Tehran's nuclear ambitions. And regional influence. Some Iranian state-affiliated media outlets and social media accounts have even gone as far as circulating bounties and rewards for anyone providing actionable information that could lead to Trump's assassination. These threats force the activation of continuity of government COG protocols, which are comprehensive. Plans designed to ensure the United States government can continue functioning smoothly even if top leaders are killed or incapacitated. Under the 25th Amendment and the Presidential Succession Act, if a president is assassinated or becomes unable to discharge his duties, the vice president is immediately sworn in as the new president. Multiple secure underground bunkers, airborne command posts, and redundant communication systems stand ready to maintain control. The famous nuclear football, the specially designed briefcase carried by a military aide that contains nuclear launch options, authentication codes, and emergency procedures, always stays with the sitting president. However, launch authority can transfer within minutes to the successor or designated officials. It is crucial to understand that America's nuclear weapons are never kept on a simple hair trigger or automatic system. Every step involves multiple layers of strict safeguards, including the two-man rule at missile silos and submarines, where two authorized personnel must independently verify orders, along with positive control measures that prevent any unauthorized launch. These systems were developed over decades to ensure stability and to reduce the terrifying risk of accidental nuclear war. To truly grasp the weight of any nuclear warning, we need to understand how America's nuclear deterrent is structured and why it exists. The United States maintains what is known as the nuclear triad, a three-legged system designed for maximum survivability, flexibility, and second strike capability. The first leg consists of land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles (ICBMs), primarily the Minuteman III missiles housed in hardened underground silos spread across several Midwestern states. These missiles can reach targets anywhere on Earth within approximately 30 minutes. The second leg is the submarine Force Ohio-class nuclear submarines armed with Trident, two submarine-launched ballistic missiles that quietly patrol the world's oceans, virtually undetectable and always ready. The third leg includes strategic bombers such as the aging but reliable B-52 Stratofortress, the stealthy B-2 Spirit, and the next-generation B-21 Raider currently in development. This triad ensures that even if an enemy launches a devastating surprise first strike that destroys land-based missiles and command centers, America would still possess submarines and bombers capable of delivering a massive retaliatory blow. Nuclear command authority ultimately rests with the president as commander-in-chief of the armed forces, yet the decision-making process is far from solitary. The president would consult with the Secretary of Defense, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, STRATCOM commanders, and intelligence leaders before issuing any launch order. Every order must be authenticated through secure codes and verified through rigorous procedures. Over the decades, U.S. nuclear strategy has evolved significantly. During the Cold War, the dominant concept was mutually assured destruction (MAD), which relied on the certainty that any nuclear exchange would destroy both sides completely. Today's approach is more flexible and is often called tailored deterrence. It seeks to convince any potential adversary, whether a nation-state like Iran, Russia, or China, or even non-state actors, that the costs of any aggression will vastly outweigh any possible benefits they could hope to achieve. When U.S. leaders issue strong warnings about massive retaliation for attacks on the president, they are effectively communicating that harming American leadership is equivalent to a direct attack on the sovereignty and security of the United States itself. This message is especially targeted at Iran, a nation that frequently operates through proxy militias and asymmetric warfare tactics rather than direct conventional confrontation. Nevertheless, many nuclear policy experts and strategists caution that overly personalizing nuclear threats carries its own set of serious risks. It could unintentionally lower the threshold for escalation during a crisis or create dangerous ambiguity that leads to miscalculation by adversaries. Iran remains at the very center of the current tensions. The Islamic Republic has maintained a long-standing posture of hostility toward the United States since the 1979 revolution. Following the targeted killing of General Soleimani in Baghdad in early 2020, senior Iranian officials publicly vowed revenge and placed American targets, including Trump himself, In their crosshairs, multiple credible intelligence assessments from American, Israeli, and European agencies have uncovered active plots involving ERG operatives and proxy networks attempting to orchestrate attacks inside the United States or during Trump's international travels. In response to these persistent threats, the United States has delivered clear and forceful public warnings. Any successful assassination would be met with overwhelming military force that could include precision strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, oil export infrastructure, military command centers, and Revolutionary Guard bases. This approach represents classic deterrence signaling, making the price of action prohibitively expensive. Importantly, automatic nuclear retaliation has not been confirmed as formal written policy. In practice, any response would likely begin with powerful conventional military options, cyber attacks, targeted sanctions, and diplomatic isolation, keeping nuclear weapons as the absolute last resort, reserved only for truly existential threats to the American homeland or its core national interests. The potential risks of further escalation remain extremely serious. A full-scale regional war involving Iran could quickly disrupt nearly a third of the world's oil supply passing through the Strait of Hormuz, trigger direct involvement by Israel, Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and various Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. Such a conflict could easily draw in larger powers, including Russia and China, who maintain significant economic and military ties with Tehran. The resulting economic shocks, skyrocketing energy prices, refugee crises, and chain of miscalculations could destabilize the entire international order. China and Russia are undoubtedly monitoring these developments with great attention. Both countries are actively modernizing and expanding their own nuclear arsenals while developing advanced delivery systems, including hypersonic glide vehicles that can evade traditional missile defenses. Any perception that the United States is becoming more willing to lower its nuclear threshold could prompt them to adjust their doctrines, potentially leading to a new and more dangerous arms race. The nuclear taboo, the powerful international norm that has prevented the use of nuclear weapons in conflict since the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, remains one of the most important safeguards for human civilization. Personalizing nuclear rhetoric must therefore be handled with extreme care so that this hard-won taboo is not accidentally weakened. Emerging technologies are making the entire nuclear landscape even more complex and dangerous. Hypersonic missiles dramatically reduce warning times from minutes to mere seconds. Sophisticated cyber attacks could target command and control systems. Artificial intelligence is being integrated into early warning radars and decision support tools. Cheap drone swarms could overwhelm traditional Secret Service and military perimeters. At the same time, deep political polarization inside the United States has unfortunately increased the threat level from lone wolf attackers and domestic extremist groups, making the challenge of protecting national leaders even more difficult. Balancing robust security with the openness required in a democracy has never been more challenging. The headlines about America's deadly nuclear warning ultimately point to a deeper and more profound truth about the world we live in. In the nuclear age, protecting the continuity of national leadership is not simply a matter of symbolism or political theater. It is genuinely existential for the survival of the country and global stability. Strong, credible deterrence has successfully prevented direct major wars between nuclear-armed great powers for more than 70 years. Yet deterrence by itself is never enough. It must always be carefully combined with clear and consistent communication, resilient democratic institutions, professional military leadership, intelligent diplomacy, and wise crisis management skills. America's greatest strength has always come from its constitutional system, its highly trained armed forces, its sophisticated intelligence community, and its extensive network of alliances and diplomatic relationships, as threats continue to evolve, ranging from powerful state actors armed with advanced hypersonic weapons and cyber capabilities to determined lone terrorists using new technologies. America's security protocols and strategies must adapt intelligently. They must evolve without falling into the traps of panic, overreaction, or automatic escalation that could spiral out of control. The world remains a dangerous and unpredictable place. Clear red lines and credible consequences are essential tools for maintaining peace and stability. At the same time, even the smallest miscalculation, misunderstanding, or unintended signal between nuclear powers could still bring about unimaginable catastrophe for humanity. What are your thoughts on this complex and high-stakes issue? Do you believe strong personal deterrence measures like these are necessary and effective in today's volatile geopolitical environment, or do they ultimately increase the overall risk of dangerous escalation? Please share your considered views respectfully in the comments section below. Stay informed, support strong and accountable institutions, and always remember that in this nuclear age, maintaining peace through strength, wisdom, and careful diplomacy remains one of the most important paths toward long-term global security and survival. Thank you for watching and thinking deeply about these critical matters that affect every person on our planet.